Hey there, Parker Reed here, and welcome to PR Media, your home for everything movies and music through my eyes. And today we have a movie review of the new film Wonder Woman 1984. In Wonder Woman 1984, Diana Prince lives quietly among mortals in the vibrant, sleek 1980s, an era of excess driven by the pursuit of having it all. Though she's come into her full powers, she maintains a low profile by curating ancient artifacts and only performing heroic acts incognito. But soon Diana will have to muster all of her strength, wisdom, and courage as she finds herself squaring off against Maxwell Lord and the Cheetah, a villainess who possesses superhuman strength and agility. So going into Wonder Woman 1984, I've really been looking forward to this film. I really enjoyed the first entry in this series directed by Patty Jenkins, and this movie has been delayed a number of times in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, so when I heard that it was finally coming out on Christmas Day and you could watch it either at home on HBO Max or in theaters, I was like, yes, I can finally see this in theaters, and unfortunately, it's one of the biggest letdowns of 2020. It really pains me to say that this movie's just flat out bad. I'm talking Suicide Squad level of bad, and it's hard for me to talk about why it's so bad without going into spoilers, so there are going to be full spoilers in this review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you really do care about spoilers, watch the movie first and then come back, because we're going to get into some of the plot points and why Wonder Woman 1984 was so disappointing for me. So basically this movie revolves around this stone where if you wish for something, it will grant it, but it will take something away in return. It's basically a monkey's paw, but in a stone, and Maxwell Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, he is getting that, and eventually his wish is to become that stone himself, so he can grant other people's wishes but take something from them in return. And Wonder Woman's trying to stop him, and the Cheetah's trying to get with him and also defend him, but also she's wishing for things too. That's basically what this movie revolves around, and a lot of the plot points just don't make a lot of sense. And I think the biggest problem with this movie, it betrays the character of Wonder Woman and Diana Prince, because in this movie, Steve Trevor, played by Chris Pine, he comes back because Wonder Woman's wish was to have her old boyfriend back, for the guy she dated for like 2 weeks 70 years ago. That doesn't make a lot of sense, and you need to speak a wish aloud in order for it to come true, but she's the only one in the film who doesn't speak her wish aloud. She just thinks it and it happens. What's going on with that? And for some reason, when she does that, he comes back in another man's body. He can't even come back as his own self. He takes over the body of another person, and he looks like that person to everybody else, but he looks like Steve Trevor to Diana, or at least we're made to think that that's who she sees in him. That was never really explained, and it was quite confusing when I was watching it. Steve Trevor takes over this man's life. They live in his apartment, they eat his food, and Diana has sex with him a couple of times, so she's basically raping this poor man because he has no idea what's going on. It doesn't matter about his job or his friends or his family or anything else. They just totally annex his body. And it feeds into the notion that Diana's been depressed and sad about one dude for like 70 years, basically saying, oh, she needs a guy to be happy when she's supposed to be this strong female character. That totally feels like a betrayal of her character. I did not like that whatsoever. And that whole rapey vibe the whole time, it was just creepy. And before we get into more specific details about the plot, this movie does the birds of prey thing, and it makes every male character in this movie completely unlikable and just downright creepy and rapey. You can have a movie starring strong female characters without just making every guy toxic and gross. That just read as surface level and like a weird uber feminist agenda, and it just was not welcome in this movie. And opposite Wonder Woman is Kristen Wiig, who plays the Cheetah, and she's just uberly miscast. Kristen Wiig is better than this, and she feels like she's playing a caricature. If you need to relate this to another superhero movie, she's basically Electra from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That's the level of quality that we're dealing with here. She's basically like, oh, I'm a nerdy person because I wear glasses, even though she's still really attractive and fit and all that jazz. And then she turns on Diana when she was the only person that was nice to her, and then she doesn't get any resolution for her character at the end of the movie. I'm not sure what they were doing for it. And at the end, when she turns into an actual cheetah, it looks like the movie Cats from late last year. That's how bad the CGI is. Her fight scene with Diana is in the dark just to mask that CGI, and it still looks bad. I was wondering if she was a Jellicle cat or not by the end of it. If you haven't seen the movie yet, I don't want to pound these points hard too much. If you haven't seen it, you can't relate to it. But I'm just going to go off a few little plot things that I can just poke holes in. And for some reason, anytime the wishes are granted in this movie, they happen instantly. But Diana's powers are the things that are taken away from her when she wishes for Steve Trevor back. But they just slowly degrade over the film, so they make her still very powerful, and she's still a god, and she can still fly by the end of this movie, but that disappears 30 years later. But they just slowly degrade, so the fights are still interesting, so she's not just getting her ass kicked the whole time. I don't know what was going on with that. You might be wondering, what is this all building up to? But by the end of the movie, Maxwell Lord starts to freak out, and he's like, I need wishes from everybody in the world so I can take everything from everyone in the world. I'm the most successful businessman ever. And so he uses this weird governmental technology so he can send his message out on TVs to everyone in the world, and that somehow equates to touching them with television waves or radio waves, but he's not physically touching them, so that doesn't make any sense. And everybody just wishes at the same time and wishes for like the worst things ever, like nuclear bombs and people dying. A woman keels over from a heart attack in a diner because somebody wished for it. It's pretty bad, and everybody's just an asshole and making weird wishes. And the only way for the movie to end is for everybody to renounce their wishes, which eventually they do due to some weird telepathy thing with Wonder Woman, and every person in the world renounces their wish. That would never happen. There'd be some asshole that would keep it. That was so unrealistic. There's even a weird sky beam thing that Pedro Pascal is in at the end. If you can't really follow what I'm saying and this doesn't make any sense and it sounds like rambling, that's because that's how the movie felt watching it. It's 2.5 hours long. It could have cut off at least 45 minutes of that. It's long, confusing. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't know how this happened when they had pretty much the same team behind it that the first movie had. That movie was competent, it was to the point, and I'm not sure where they went wrong here, but it was basically everywhere they went wrong. And one more example of the quality of this film is when she's talking with Kristen Wiig's character early on in the movie, and Kristen Wiig's like, "Have you ever been in love?" It was basically this scene from The Room.
Anyway, how is your sex life?
And by the end of it, though, we do have a nice, weird Christmas Hallmark ending where Diana is talking to the guy that Steve Trevor took over his body. That dude now has his personality back, and they kind of talk and flirt back and forth. And he has no idea that he's been sleeping with Wonder Woman this whole movie. That's the biggest travesty of them all. I really wish this movie was better. I can't talk about it anymore. This whole movie felt like, let's use the marketing for Thor Ragnarok and just make a Batman v Superman level of film. This was one of the most disappointing movies of 2020, and I'd have to give it a 3 out of 10. Its only redeeming qualities is some of the CGI was cool, but some of it was bad. I like the color scheme, and Wonder Woman played by Gal Gadot is still really good casting. I like Steve Trevor played by Chris Pine. Pedro Pascal is always welcome, but you can skip this movie, guys. Don't even watch it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw here, you can check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and like, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. My name is Parker Reed. You've been watching PR Media. Keep supporting physical media, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
It's all art. Is that just a trash can?
It's just a trash can. Yeah.